Personal branding advice from the book Brand It Like Serhant. Don't be a perfectionist. More often than not, the person who focuses on volume will beat the person who focuses on quality. Now, often the advice you get when you're doing something like content marketing on YouTube is that you should focus on quality rather than quantity. But we do see that a lot of people who have built strong personal brands, including Grant Cardone and the author of this book, saying that volume matters more. So, how do we reconcile that? Well, I think one of the big differences is deciding, are you in the entertainment space or are you more on the education side? Because I think in entertainment, it's going to be much more about focusing on blockbuster things, big movies, big books, big novels, etc., and putting a lot of marketing budget behind those blockbusters. But when it comes to education and building a brand in that way, I would steer a bit more towards the volume game. So that might be surprising for some of you. Create content in volume. A post you don't expect to do well might get millions of views, but you won't realize that unless you're producing a lot of different pieces of content. Some of the author's most popular YouTube videos are obvious, simple things about how real estate agents make money. And for me personally, some of my most successful YouTube videos were tutorials, basic tutorials for digital advertising. Nothing strategic, nothing flashy. And Serhant was surprised too that it wasn't anything novel that was getting a lot of views. It was just basic education. And you don't realize that until you put out a lot of content and collect data. So now we're going to talk about some tactical personal brand tips. So one thing is you can nominate yourself for awards. A lot of people don't realize that. They think somebody else needs to nominate them. Discover the special thing that makes you you. So for example, for me, I tend to be a bit contrarian, nonconformist. I look at trends and I'm skeptical and I try to figure out, well, where are the opportunities? Kind of like a good investor looking for something that's undervalued. His brand needs to be nurtured and fed with consistent content, which leads to more followers, hence more leads throwing themselves at him. So that's what happens when you start putting out content like this. For example, there was a client paying me personally for a bunch of calls, consulting calls, and he did this because he had read a bunch of books that I had published and wanted to buy a course that I was selling. So when you put out content and establish yourself as a thought leader, and we'll talk about how to do that later, it'll be much easier, a much more lubricated process of getting clients and customers. First thing that makes you stand out is something that is innately you. It's something that's so honest. So for me, for example, I'm very contrarian. I do a lot of research. I do a lot of experimentation. So that's just innately what I do. I love to learn and I love to try things. Whereas for other people, maybe they're just very good at project management or they're very good at sales. Whatever that is, try to figure out what it is for you, that innate thing for you, whether it's being intellectual or being persistent, etc. Now, so what is a personal brand really? It's a carefully cultivated package made up of your strengths, skills, successes, and accomplishments that serves as the foundation for your business. A personal brand allows for an authentic connection with customers, inspires trust and loyalty, and creates greater awareness to attract more business. Now, what you want to do is create an easy way for people to identify you. For example, the author of The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F, and he became known as the F guy. So it was something easily associated with you. And later we're going to talk about how having things like a strong point of view to associate with your personal brand is an easy way to get publicity and memory for you. Think about what humanizes you, what makes you memorable because it shows off your unique insights, talents, and curiosity. What makes you different? Infuse a part of your personality into your brand to differentiate yourself. Some people make that mistake. When they start doing public speaking or speaking on camera, they feel like they need to fit a certain persona or present themselves in a certain professional way. But you actually want a bit of your personality coming through. And we actually see that with some very successful politicians. There is something a little peculiar about them. And instead of that leading to their demise, it actually leads to their success because they stand out more. What really drives us to select a specific brand is that brand's personality, humanistic qualities that create an emotional, intellectual response. Develop authority in your industry. Remind people constantly that you're right here and provide continual evidence that you are the go-to human for all things in your industry. Some more branding tips. Be bold and go bigger. This is something Grant Cardone also talks about in his book. Spread reach as far as you can. That's why I'm a big proponent of using things like YouTube ads and Facebook ads to amplify what you're marketing. You can also do that with TikTok ads. Add momentum, get more reach. Give speeches to huge corporations around the world. Write 3 books. Like, publish more than 3 books. Publish articles in online magazines. Those magazines already have wide reach. You don't need to start from scratch. Form partnerships and publish on other websites. So, for example, HubSpot has a formal application process, and it's much easier to get published if you have original data that you can get on there. Collaborate with other major brands to produce content and develop a lucrative education business. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm partnering with a large association to put out a new course on AI for marketing. Be the #1 go-to brand no matter what you do. The second someone thinks I need to decorate, work with a new SEO company, hire someone to walk the dog, buy a new car, your brand pops up in their head. This is like what Byron Sharp talks about in his academic book about how brands grow. Is you want to associate your brand with category entry points. So it's those spontaneous moments when people suddenly have a need to buy something. Oh, I need an SEO company or a divorce lawyer or somebody to deal with a merger and acquisition. Associate that need, that trigger event, that category entry point with your personal brand and what you can offer them, whether it's coaching or walking dogs, whatever. Customers don't even need to think about who to call, what website to order from. Your brand is exactly what they need right now, and it's the first one they think about. That's really what brand awareness is. It's not just, are they aware of your brand? It's, do they think of your brand when a need arises? Start a new TV show or YouTube channel. Get profiled in a New York Magazine. Shout out about your accomplishments. So a lot of people are timid. They don't want to come across as braggy, but people need to know what you do and they need to know why to choose you. So talk about and celebrate your achievements. Start getting the brand recognition you want right now. Be the go-to brand in your field. That's what you want to be known as. Social media might be the biggest and easiest party to get into, but it's not the only party in town. I, for example, am a big fan of using other techniques like direct mail if you're going for large contracts, or cold emails, automate it for business to business, or advertising in various channels. You're going to be guaranteed to get more reach if you do advertising. Expand to everything that's possible long before you're able to make it a reality. So you have to think bigger. You got to think 10x before you're able to really achieve momentum and huge success. Have high ambitions. Think about what kind of experience you want to create for your clients and customers. Figure out what you want to achieve in the next 3 to 5 years. Be globally recognized, in the author's case, for selling the world's most expensive properties with the world's wealthiest clients in the next 3 to 5 years. What do you want to be known for? Be recognized as the leading expert in effective study skills for gifted children within 5 years. Whatever that is for you, figure out what reputation you want to have. And what I would recommend is you want to have a reputation that's closely tied to buying something. Otherwise, you're just building fame without necessarily building revenue. Get featured in the Wall Street Journal. For example, this helped the author get a new client. Establish your viewpoint, a unique viewpoint. Go where you're treated best, for example, is the slogan of a popular YouTuber that I follow. He recommends that you move to a place where you have better taxes, lower prices, more freedom, etc. Gong is a company that has a unique viewpoint, which is orienting all of their content around data to help you with your sales. So sales advice that's based on actual quantitative research instead of just hearsay. Go big or go back to selling services. This is the slogan I use when I'm talking about product marketing and how product marketers think too small. You need to think about how you reach your entire total addressable market. Staying on brand is crucial to success. So make sure when you evaluate posts, videos, advertising, that you're staying on brand. Is this the reputation you want to have? Are you building associations that make sense for your brand, or ones that you're just doing to get views, but not necessarily on strategy for you? Analyze what you watch, who you watch, and ask the question why. Maybe there are certain YouTubers you follow because they provide great advice and you don't really care about how flashy their videos are. Or maybe there are other people that you follow because they have beautiful videos. Think about why you're watching it, what the value proposition is, and how you can better improve your personal brand by employing those techniques. Have a properly branded email address. So not having one can be a red flag. For example, I, as an influencer, I'm getting solicitations all the time to do brand deals, but a lot of brand solicitations are actually kind of scammy. They're from bizarre emails, XXY, strange countries where the brand isn't located. It's very unusual. Emphasize the brand image. Speak to the customer you want, not necessarily the customers that you have right now. Now we're going to give some specific advice on thought leadership. You become a thought leader when your commentary is viewed and valued by your peers. That means you need to get distributed to your peers, which may mean putting advertising, cold email, or direct mail behind your content. Having articles you've crafted on LinkedIn is evidence for journalists that you know what you're talking about. So publishing on LinkedIn is one way to get noticed by journalists. You can also use Haro, which was recently rebranded as Connectively, to get connected with journalists. 5 ways to share thought leadership. Number 1, use what Serhant calls your and. Your and is a secret ingredient that helps your viewpoint stand out. For example, why real estate agents need to embrace the metaverse. So he's connecting real estate agents with something that's on trend, which is the metaverse. Since he is a luxury real estate and media expert, he can offer a unique perspective. What's the unique perspective you can offer? What are those 2 things that you can be known for, perhaps that other peers of yours can't be or other competitors can't be? Be an outlier. Share a non-standard opinion. Fresh insights. For example, gardens are the new lawns. That's a fresh insight. That's a publishable insight. 3, make predictions. Oh, the media loves if you're willing to make predictions. What's going on in your industry right now, and where will it take things? So predicting the future is a very easy way to get published. And the other strange thing is that nobody really holds you accountable. Very few people are going to go back and say, was he right or not? So you can take risks here and just make your best guess. Use unique facts. For example, even though interest rates were way higher in the 80s, it's harder to enter the housing market today due to housing prices and salaries. That's one that he keeps as a unique fact in his pocket. And number 5, the rule of 5. 5 things to focus on for your reader for an article or post. 5 things to expect from home inspections, for example. Promise 5 tips. Listicles are one of the most successful, proven ways of creating content. So 5 tips to do something. Now, how to transform industry commentary into thought leadership. What do you think's the next thing will be? So looking at my industry, for example, AI is very transformative. Well, what's going to happen after AI? Or what is the next phase of AI? What drives you crazy? What thoughts about your industry keep you up at night? What do you wish you had done differently when you were starting in your field? What do you wish people understood about your industry? What are myths in your industry? What is a unique fact you can share? Elements of an engaging speech. Unique point of view. People don't want to hear the same old drab commentary. Keep up to date, new developments and how it impacts your topic. Be an authentic human, not a professional robot. Post about every talk you give. You'll get invited to give more speeches if you do this. Now, Serhant's brand, let's go through the details here. He's the gray-haired broker on that reality TV show. That's how people think about him in their minds. Serhant is the go-to brokerage for buying and selling luxury properties all over the world. I am always the go-to person for buying and selling luxury properties. Think about your dream reputation. Broker who can get listings in front of the most people. Your brand is your foundation. Brand is what other people think about the company you have built. Look at your values, what you stand for, what your purpose is. Look at your visual identity and build a content calendar. Now, looking at competition. Social media basically makes us compete with the whole world. I also want to say that business-to-business companies are competing with business-to-consumer companies. Journalists are competing with marketers. Basically, everyone is competing for attention. So it's getting harder and harder to stand out, and that's why you really need to capture attention and capture attention quickly. We are bombarded with new content constantly, and it makes us work to get noticed. That's why the very beginning of a video, the hook, for example, or the headline, if you're not doing a video and you're doing an article, is critical. All right, some tips for copywriting. Delete 0 added value words like dependable, hardworking, and honest. Instead, use power adjectives like influential, unstoppable, dynamic, electrifying, outstanding, uplifting, unbeatable, inspiring, and use these in every social post. Chisel out who you really are and be crystal clear on what you have to offer. I can't highlight that enough. A lot of people, they just want to create content that gets views, that gets them famous, but you have to figure out, what are you selling? What is the offer? Not enough people focus on that transition to the sale. Many influential people do a poor job monetizing, and that's true. I would say most influencers probably struggle with monetization, not so much with getting followers. I'm an exception. I'm an influencer who's particularly good at monetizing my fame or my expertise. I know a lot of influencers who are far bigger than me in terms of followers and views, but not so much in terms of monetizing that audience. All right, now imagery, which is, it seems very tactical, but is actually very critical when it comes to developing brands. Have good headshots, not static poses with boring backgrounds the way it used to be in the 90s. Angle your shoulders slightly. Cross your arms is a safe pose. I used to think crossing your arms, oh, that's bad. It looks like you're being in a protective mode, but it actually has a very professional, power-like pose. Smile. Lean in slightly. Have action shots as well. For example, you teaching a class, exploring a city, up on stage giving a speech. That's one of the ones I use with a microphone. Your visual identity shouldn't be based on how you feel or peculiar interests. So for example, you like leopard print. Well, does leopard print have anything to do with your brand? Is that what you want to communicate, or is it just a taste that you have? Distinguish between your taste and what's good for your brand, your professional brand. Gymshark used a shark with big biceps on their clothes, which was very eye-catching. Create a style guide to ensure consistency. Tell stories with purpose. Avoid topics that have nothing to do with your brand. For example, when I worked for American companies, they always seem to talk about irrelevant topics like particular holidays or politics, even though those really had nothing to do with what they were selling, what their product was, what they wanted to be known for. And I think it's counterproductive to do so. Now, some specific advice for content marketing. Kick some or all of those dusty, old, lackluster lead generation tactics to the curb. So a lot of marketers, there's a whole field of marketing people that believe everything is about direct response. If you don't generate a lead, you're having no impact. That's not true. It takes time to build a reputation. If you really want to go big, it's the branding game. That's the long game. That's what the data show. Ultimately, even in business to business to consumer, certainly, people buy the preferred brand. For example, I really like to get Ralph Lauren Purple Label, which is the highest end Ralph Lauren, but to be honest, the materials just aren't as good as some of these lesser known brands, but I buy it because it's the brand. There's a magic to having a brand. And gone are the days where it's all about the best product or the best service. It's really about what's familiar, what brand stands out in people's mind. Grant Cardone also talks about this, how being known is more important than having the best to offer. Drawing more business from social media can mean less time cold calling strangers. Open a revenue stream by simply posting and optimizing social media content on a daily basis. YouTube, one of the only platforms where content has true longevity, so it's a long-term investment. TikTok provides quick growth for now. Twitter, not good for evergreen content, but is very good, for example, for engaging with journalists. Content that received the most engagement also started receiving the most distribution from algorithms. So there's been a huge change in what's happening with social media algorithms lately. It used to rely more on how many subscribers you had, but the social media companies are more sophisticated now and use AI to figure out, well, is the content what people want? Are they engaging with it? Is the watch time high? So focus more on that than just getting subscribers. Social platforms now show you content from people they think you might enjoy, not just about having followers or subscribers. Algorithms no longer prioritize followers. I don't care about how many followers you have. I care about how good your content is. And increasingly, that's what we're seeing right now, especially with AI. AI is doing an excellent job of finding the right audiences, whether you're running advertisements or doing organic marketing. So where a lot of the marketing emphasis now is shifting is more towards the creative and the creative strategy. Can you produce a good video? Can you produce an excellent article? The strategic targeting can largely be handled by AI now. So there's a dramatic shift happening. I care about how good your content is. So is it interesting? Is it fun? Is it engaging? And there's a democratization, a creating of a level playing field, because it's about engagement first and followers second. So there's a chance you could beat bigger, more established personalities out there in the social media world if you have great content or you have novel content, interesting research, etc. So consistency leads to a reputation, which ultimately leads to referrals. So publish that content. That might mean, for example, you have one day where you record a bunch of videos or write a bunch of articles and then schedule it so that those get spread out across each day or each week, etc. Now, we're going to look at a content matrix, which helps keep your content fresh, fun, interesting, but also on brand, on strategy. So here we have entertain, educate, and encourage. Those are the three main outcomes he wants. And then the three topics are real estate, entrepreneur and tech CEO, luxury lifestyle, and family man. So he wants to do these three things and be known for these three things. So for example, in the real estate entertainment area, he does property tours, property Zoom walkthroughs, deal stories, like deals getting contracts for properties, and crazy listings. On the education side, market updates, and encourage side, success stories. Now, in the entertainment and more of his entrepreneur CEO status, day in the life, social media trends. He does for education, startup stories and routines, and then motivational tips. And now for the luxury lifestyle and family man, he'll talk about luxury products for entertainment, for education, work-life balance, workouts and nutrition, and then for the encourage side, family moments. Now, personally, my take on this is I think he'll probably shift away from some of this personal stuff and move a little bit more into the education side with real estate. Now, in terms of getting more publicity from journalists, maybe he needs to put a little more of a peculiar spin on it with things like crazy deals. But I suspect he may make a pivot more towards the education side. But with the high volume game, you can put out a lot of content with different angles. All right, now repurpose your content. So for example, there are AI tools like Opus Clip and other software that can convert your long form YouTube videos into shorts. You can also transcribe and create articles from that. You can create an article and then convert that into a presentation video. There's a million ways to repurpose. How to create a video people will actually watch. You don't need to be perfect or highly produced. A lot of low caliber videos that are just cameras and not high quality production microphones like I have can still be effective. The most important thing is be clean and be uncomplicated. We want to hear your voice. We want to see your face. We want to see visuals. For YouTube specifically, 59 seconds to tell a story or relay your message. There's no room for fluff. That's increasingly what's happening. There's more and more emphasis now being placed on the hook or the very first few seconds of the video, which is particularly true with like YouTube Shorts and TikToks. All right, formula, first step, make an announcement. For example, 5 lessons I learned from a billionaire. Share your experience and then have a call to action. People aren't on social media to see ads. They want to be entertained. Entertainment is how you earn attention. Tell a story first and then give a punchline as your product or service. Captivate the audience first. Always be captivating. Get emotional. Most copywriting is boring. It's dry. Most content is too dry and boring. 90% of people go to the internet to solve problems. Help them solve their problem. Make it very clear what problem you're solving. Examples, make TikToks that are house tours. Go on YouTube, go on Instagram, go on television. Use TikTok to sell real estate. All right, now some KPIs for reach. Impressions, followers, audience growth, and reach itself. Engagement, likes, comments, engagement rate. Here are some engagement benchmarks. TikTok, 3 to 9%. Instagram, 4%. LinkedIn, 2%. Facebook and YouTube are less difficult to benchmark because Facebook is shown to people who opt in or follow a given page, so that biases the data. YouTube engagement relies mainly on viewership, which isn't always easily discoverable. Conversion, another type of KPI. You're looking at conversion rate and CTR. So basically 3 clusters of metrics that you're going to want to track your content. All right, another key thing is amplification. Establish some credibility if you want to get someone to listen to your message or hold their attention. The 3 C's, credibility, coverage, and community. You don't amplify by making more noise. You amplify by establishing credibility, getting coverage over your brand, and creating community around your brand. Instead of shouting, build partnerships and alliances that have a chorus of people echoing the same sentiments that are amplifying your message. So that basically becomes self-fueling publicity. Provide quotes for magazines and newspapers. I mentioned using Haro to do that, or Connectively. And give speeches. Join Toastmasters if you haven't already to improve your speaking skills. 3 ways to establish credibility and build this brand. Number 1, thought leadership. 2, speaking engagements. And 3, awards, which you can nominate yourself for. PR kit, press kit, bio, company profile, awards, thought leadership credentials, speaking engagements, key topics you focus on, substantive rankings, media list, contact info for reporters who cover relevant topic, print newspapers, blogs, websites, influencers, business journals, local news, television. I recommend using SparkToro to figure out who are the top journalists, publications, influencers that influence your target audience, and then solicit them to get your content, to get your reach. Your pitch, offer data or specific info about why your story is relevant now. Why is it timely? Peg it to what's trending, for example. Individualize to each recipient, each journalist. Follow journalists on social and compliment them on a story of theirs that you found helpful. Share your credentials. Offer help. Don't attach anything when you send an email to a journalist. Show you're a reliable source. And you may want to hire a publicist at some point to pitch to media outlets. Turn your audience into a community. The audience is the people you speak to. The community is the people you speak with. Bring in experts to share their knowledge on topics. Don't respond to very negative comments, bad/lazy questions, favors. Go from audience to community by developing a newsletter and nurturing subscribers. An easy way to build a community is build that email list and start inviting people to something like a workshop or like an executive roundtable where it's not just you giving advice for people, but it's also them talking to other people that are in that small group that you've created. It's a very easy way to start building a community and monetizing your expertise. All right, some more tips. What do you wish people understood about your industry? And you can educate them about that to build you and associate your personal brand with your industry. Nurture an audience on social media. So nurturing people, lead nurturing, people think of it as email, but it's also just what you're posting on social. Share helpful content, reply to comments, reply to direct messages, engage with other creators. For example, he closed a $15 million sale years after a speech was given. So building your reputation now may lead to harvesting results far into the future because results are delayed and people don't necessarily have a need now. How many times a year do you buy a $15 million property? Well, not that often. But when that need does arise, you want to be the guy they think of for whatever that is in your case. Provide value consistently. Make your audience feel like the company is a person, and that's very easy to do with a personal brand. You're the CEO or you're the spokesperson. The research shows that the most memorable, distinctive brand asset is the mascot, the face, the spokesperson. Is very easy to just use your face effectively as a logo, as the most memorable brand asset. Brand is a lot more than what you're advertising and marketing. It's the entire feel of what it's like to interact with the company. Direct message people, ask for help, people with a higher following than you. They'll help you get to where you want to be. Your brand is like a compass that makes sure you don't stray too far from your desired course as you explore.